He'll take the Gwen, and
Ooh,
IG fans are happy
cute.
about that. That pentakill sign is really well
They
timed.
even had a TheShy Gwen sign there, so I think that was really cute.
Yeah.
Glad that they get to see their little sign make it on through to the broadcast, especially with the Gwen being locked in. This does mean that Meiko finally makes her appearance, third game in the series, so usually it's paired up with things like the Misfortune and the Kaisa. Instead, I'm going to get baited, and they pivot over to the Ezreal here, so giving 1xN more agency, the ability to peel for himself, and hopefully keep him at range.
I just think based off of the pool of AD carries, that is the next best available on the Israel. And I'd love to see that they're prioritizing it for 1xN, who we talked about as the rock of this team, or at least the bottom lane as the rock of this team. Are they going to pair the Ezreal up with the Meiko? They are. Okay.
So you have a pretty strong 2v2 here. If 1xN does decide to go for like the lethal tempo Ezreal as well, there's a potential there for them to look. Are we going to get Lucian Melio? I know we've been seeing a ton of Nami here in the LPL. I really think that Melio just does a lot more, provides a lot better, but we're getting a Nami instead. So a poke lane coming out from Gala and Meiko. This is going to be an arms race. We're going to hopefully see a lot of action between these two. And I think for IG, it is a lot easier for them in the mid game to contest on the waves when we talk about putting the AD carries in mid. And so I'm looking for how Gala and Meiko can actually try to prove themselves in a 2v2 where we've had so many questions for them.
Interesting. So I know it's big to kind of answer the Gwen in this first phase. With the Gnar, you don't want to like get even worse matchups banned away, make TheShy a monster. But I was curious if they were going to pick jungle there and then just pinch Jiejie's pool, knowing that there are so many big junglers off the board. How many jungle bans do you see in the second phase now flowing through all?
Just that. I was going to say maybe 3, so I think we're kind of locked into that now, but I don't know if ThunderTalk are really that worried. I mean, you look at the trends throughout the series, they've been more focused on making sure that Rookie is not on one of the champions that potentially could make a splash in this game. Yeah. So I like the Sylas takeaway. You see that there's a Neeko and a Gnar on your team. Those are perfectly reasonable to try to get rid of. But you also have to be a little bit worried about getting rid of those mages. You are still attacking SeTab here, and now they're getting rid of the Ahri. So what is SeTab going to be able to play in mid lane? I'm thinking about Victor. I'm thinking potentially about a Jace that has still not come through in this series. And
Yasuo.
A lot of these champions are making it through. Maybe Yasuo.
They're set up for it this time. I will say, as I did the Coper, there is set up. Definitely worry about damage profiles. I like the Jace was banned away though in the first phase, so you lose that for SeTab. Xin Zhao going to be banned off the board here as potentially the only jungler to be banned away in the second phase. So once again, I wonder if ThunderTalk want to lean into it fully. They will pick the Wukong out of the jungle pool, which I know is a lot of AD topside, but you've got an Enchanter support. So you're not going to get tank top lane. So I think it's a fine game to get away with really indexing hard into AD on your top side here. As the Nocturne becomes the final ban. I, as the Yasuo SeTab fan I am, want to see Wukong here.
I mean, we got the... I guess you could do Wukong.
Or Sejuani. Oh, right. I forgot about Sejuani.
There's not a lot of people that can currently tank a Sejuani ult to the face. I feel like ThunderTalk, though, you are setting up for a pretty clear kind of huge team fight wombo when you're trying to make this pick with the Neeko and the Sejuani. You have so many tools to be able to find yourself in team fights, and for IG, it is all about that pick. It is all about getting good poke down, finding someone with either the Lucian culling, Gwen using her ultimate, or even potentially this Taliyah, which is now locked in. Doesn't give very many options. I don't think Taliyah has, the most clear job in this game, but that Weaver's Wall is always going to be important, and making sure when you have the Unraveled Earth to kind of, stop any of the engagements from ThunderTalk. Oh my god, SeTab? Into Taliyah?
Wow, what? Yeah, that... Oh.
Taliyah Poppy is what we're playing LeBlanc mid into.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
he's called his shot. He's called his shot.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, there's so many ways this goes wrong. There's so many clear ways this goes wrong. Who would I love to be in the mind? Oh, who would I love to be in the comms on that pick?
This is a terrible stat for me to bring up right now.
Uh-oh.
SeTab in his entire career has played LeBlanc 20 times. Can you guess how many wins he has?
There's 2 routes to go with this. A lot or a little. Because you don't ask me if it's in the middle. I'll say 7.
Perfect. He is
Actually?
7-13 on this champion right now. So hopefully he can bring in a win. I think that this kind of goes counter to what ThunderTalk's draft was kind of heading towards.
I'm with
you have this Ezreal who's going to be very strong on 2 items, even 3 with Spear of Shojin. You're going to have Feather who can kind of bridge them in the early game as a very strong laner, but when you're playing against double ranged in bottom lane as this IG composition, I think you're very fine with the fact that you're going to be able to fight. Then we get into the mid game. I need to be seeing SeTab run the early game here. He needs to slam Taliyah. Otherwise, there's going to be so many situations where if they're facing front to back, LeBlanc is going to run forward. There's going to be Unraveled Earth, Poppy stuns, and SeTab is going to be useless. And we're going to be seeing ThunderTalk move to 2-10.
It all comes down to one game here. This is Gyro's ringing once more, and we're not going to have a lot of time to build up this matchup because looks like we're already going to get crazy with a level 1. Rookie face checks into 3 members of TT, make it 4, and who grabs first blood? It's SeTab.
Exactly what we wanted to see. Good job. Great creative pathing in the early game to just set up a death brush right there, and they punish Rookie. So not too many no summoner spent on either side. Just a very quick, easy 400 gold. It is a dark sealed here for SeTab. Feeling pretty good. Also, even has a treasure hunter, so getting a little bit more gold there as well.
What a call from SeTab. A player that dazzled in split 1 with some awesome team fighting power alongside his team. We talked about he picked the Yasuo. He was making people look silly in lane with it. Such a unique player coming over to the LPL. And even with all the woes of ThunderTalk, it feels like they play best when he is ahead, but more so when he is confident. Oh,
yeah. Oh, for sure. And you'll be able to hopefully be able to do it here. I'm going to check real quick. When was the last time SeTab actually was able to play the LeBlanc? So LCK Summer 2024. So almost under a year. He's like, what, that's that's 9 months ago?
Yep.
So
just about.
Yeah. Impressive stuff either way. We'll have to continue to watch how this mid lane matchup develops. SeTab early on can get underneath this Taliyah and try to poke her out, especially with the electrocute. Just that worry about team fights. And for ThunderTalk, it's about creativity here in this game. Can they approach IG in unconventional angles?
There you go. The dips in and out from SeTab. Try to take advantage of a matchup that could be so very volatile for them. But bottom lane, even with the level 1 shenanigans, was the bottom lane that we felt like would have the most firepower early is. Despite the ThunderTalk win in Game 2, all you chatters are less confident they'll come away with a Game 3 win.
God,
and look
Rookie.
who's making you eat your words. SeTab within 1 Q of finding a solo bolo into Rookie.
Oh my god. And Jiejie just getting completely moved out. Good use of the mid lane priority. And while Gala and Meiko could be the first ones here, you can kind of see that they are fighting with 1xN and Feather. That's the teleport coming out from Rookie to save his jungler's red buff. One problem for IG that we kind of noted during the pre-show is that Gala's laning phase has not been super. See, that a good trade onto Meiko means that they're going to have to use the heal. So within the first 3.5 minutes already, IG have been forced to use almost all of their summoner spells here across the board. A large portion of them already. Good job from TheShy.
Gets Hoya out of lane for now. Xiao Hongren not going to get spotted towards the bot side, getting that ward down, but he's still got a lot of camps to clear himself, and kind of just wants to make sure that 1xN and Feather can cook as they please with such a big health advantage. And Gala and Meiko kind of trapped from ever getting a reset off, or they'll sacrifice waves.
So we're kind of taking a look at this. One good spot, I think, for IG, and something that we'll have to track throughout this game, is just how much damage they can just do, like raw DPS with this Lucian Nami, and then eventually TheShy. But TheShy actually going for Grasp of the Undying makes me think he's going to try to go for his Rod of Ages build again, which, I'll be honest, doesn't inspire a lot of hope right now. And we'll see what he ends up going for.
Well, junglers pathing up towards that very top side, and Jiejie trying to get aggressive, maybe catching the Krugs out as he tries to catch up.
SeTab?
SeTab? What was that flash?
Look, he did a head scratcher in the player cam. He did it too. He didn't know. I think the idea there is that he tries to flash so that he has a shorter queue time, or a shorter time on the animation for his distortion. We'll see a potential gank coming in from Jiejie. Xiaohuangren instead drops the Krugs.
The wave was in such an audacious position, though. It barely wasn't in turret range, and Hoya's able to clear them out. He's got the Narbar stacking up, so that dive fizzles out for now. And like you called, Xiaohuangren skips his Krugs, and that's because he likes Dragon priority right now, knowing that Jiejie was definitely camping up towards the top side. So game one, Jiejie took first rake in about 6-ish minutes. The way this is pacing down, TT will have that same option afforded to them at around the same time, if not a bit earlier.
Okay, so good job coming in, and we're not seeing those really early aggressive plays coming in from Gala Meiko. They are just barely even in CS. You're playing against a composition where you really want to try to spike on 1 and 2, maybe even earlier, just by having this electrocute. We are not seeing Gala and Meiko play this particularly aggressive, and so not a lot of hope being inspired here from IG across the board. I know we're seeing some small mechanical flubs, but this game does get a little bit harder for them as this does go on. I mean, who else other than Jiejie is really going to be able to tank up a Sejuani ultimate? So we're kind of looking at this. The first dragon going over to TT is very nice. Both junglers are heading down here. Jiejie will get spotted.
Yep. Xiaohuangren comes through first as the flashes start to pop.
Oh, no.
Bubble lands on a 1x, even though he arcanes just forward, so he has to flash right back out where he came from. Unfortunate interaction there for the Ezreal. So that'll fizzle out any bottom lane plays. SeTab once again hunting for a solo kill, just poking and prodding Rookie down, doing a really good job not getting caught on any of these stuns.
But he is getting chunked, and he has to. He's looking for a honey fit right now. He's like, can I actually get back into mid lane? Because I cannot afford a recall right now. He doesn't have teleport. He'll lose at least some of these minions of this wave. So a good job coming in from ThunderTalk. They are at least punishing, covering their lanes. And Xiaohuangren does not need to be doing very much. Like, his job this game is prevent Poppy from getting good ganks, saving his laners, and potentially even having to rock up 2 objectives and take them with his team.
Yeah, and just rock up to any of these fights he likes or skirmishes and pop that ultimate like you called it. Really should sign death warrants for any members of IG who continue to show the same sort of worrying stagnancy that they had in game 2, just so slow. And in some lanes it makes sense, like TheShy up here just farming away like he does. He's up 20 CS. It's what's keeping the gold so narrow despite all these plays from ThunderTalk. But Gala and Meiko, we gotta wake up and play this Lucian Nami like it's born to take over lanes with.
We're just not seeing that from them, so they're going to go into mid, and this is a part of the game that we had said that IG should have a much better time of handling. Just on the mid wave when you have Gala and Meiko, they're going to be hitting level 6 soon. So I hope to see some more aggressive play from our Lucian player and being able to just posture forward. ThunderTalk, though, walking in, they're going to try to steal at least 1 grub.
Well, Jiejie, steadfast presence, throws one into wall. Xiaohuangren tries to follow and get the TheShy hit with the ultimate. The stun comes across. True Shot Barrage, though. Gwen is immune to that damage, and Feather gets a Pop Blossom that falls completely flat. No flash for 1xN, finally pops himself over the wall, and Xiaohuangren trying to throw hands with Gala and Meiko. But IG do a really good job slowing TT down and punishing them for overextending.
3 grubs, and you're at least able to force out some more summoner spells from Hoya and Xiaohuangren. I can't get much happier about the situation there. Could have potentially gotten more kills, but we have to see Feather overextend himself for a play. I think if you're ThunderTalk, you probably want some of that back, but you're seeing now it is continuing to be a problem, at least on the side lane, and oh god.
Glacial Prison doesn't land. Gala does have to kite up into 1xn. Not enough damage, though. The bubble does stall up Xiaohong Ren. The dash comes across.
No
1xn
way.
can't follow. Gala survives.
100 HP. You're sitting there as ThunderTalk, and it might be feeling desperate. Let's see how much damage they're actually able to get done. Again, no grubs on their side does mean that it's a little harder for them to actually hit this turret and get any plates. They're going to instead recall and use this timer to move Feather down, potentially help SeTab with finding a kill onto Rookie. A lot of pressure here, and 50 seconds before this Dragon.
First chain doesn't hit. Really helps stall and allows Rookie to get back to safety, even though the hit squad was rolling for him. ThunderTalk, a little bit of a reek of desperation, trying to start manifesting some of these kills, knowing that they've got a sleeping giant brewing in this top side as TheShy's lead continues to grow.
So Rookie just used teleport to get down bottom lane. He takes like 90% of his HP, and now has to walk back. He is in a pretty big deficit in terms of the lane. You can see already that SeTab is almost a full level up on him at this point, has a 20 CS lead as well. I need to see SeTab step up and provide that performance that we have been able to see from him from time to time. Those glimmers of hope here for ThunderTalk. Take control of mid. I like this. Feathers here. You see that Xiaohong Ren?
Lands the Tangle Barb. Meiko commits the flash. Holding coming down from Gala. Just going to chunk away at the Sejuani's health bar. So Meiko and Gala being reminded that mid lane isn't nearly as safe as the bottom lane they came from earlier on.
No, I like this from 1xn. Play aggressive. You don't know where Meiko is, but he just used his culling. He has almost no mana here. He has to be very sparse and very decisive with which spells he uses, especially early on. This Q takes a ton of mana from you. So, till he gets like his Essence Reaver and the such. I mean, there's no such, like, you know that there's no
Glacial Prison
ultimate here. Yeah,
Jiejie,
who cares? Just walk up.
Jiejie doesn't take much harassment for that. Remember, the Dragon was taken so early here by TT. They've got some waning health bars, but SeTab's trying to cook going in on Meiko. The bubble after death, though, from Meiko holds SeTab in place. Gala gets the kill, and Rookie's going to cut off the exits, going for Xiaohong Ren, who is way too low to try and be contesting near this Talia. Going to use Dragon as a body blocker. Jiejie does not have the Keeper's Verdict to throw anybody out. He's going to try and run in and just steals the Dragon with ease. Xiaohong Ren had no way to contest, and TheShy with Rookie gets the Feats of Warfare, and the needlework is flowing like an audacious river as TheShy tries to chase down more kills. Won't be found, but a win nonetheless for Invictus Gaming.
Rookie said, look, you might be able to win the laning phase, but step back, nephew. Just come watch this team fighting, brother. He put so much work into that. He finds a massive flick onto 2, gets that damage down onto SeTab to start, and even ends up helping his jungler take the Dragon. So IG immediately jump out to a pretty massive advantage here in this game. Hoya now potentially getting caught. There's a culling getting ready.
Good stutter step on the bubble. The bubble was the only way that that gets a kill. So Hoya survives. Still very weak though. But hey, Gnar just needs that big ultimate. All right, that's the big thing we care about. We're not watching a breathe Gnar that decimated a game against this very IG.
Damn, that's crazy. He's not even in this game and we're glazing him.
Hey, that game was
so far.
We were on that game
for ThunderTalk. We'll see. Well, we take a look back at this fight. And I like the idea of this, but like, Feather's nowhere in position. Again, we don't have Nico ultimate. I do not see the reason why we're trying to look for this play. We just had our jungler get chunked out. SeTab tries to go over the wall. He finds Meiko, which is great, but there is so much crowd control immediately applied to him as he comes over this wall. And I just want to look at Rookie. Takes control of that choke, puts down the Weaver's wall, buys his team space back into this play, and more so, also providing vision for his team. And then him and Jiejie and TheShy just flying over the wings. Catch out 1xn. This is good coming out from IG.
Keep on building. Keep that momentum running, because it was so depressing to see IG so slow to make plays in that game 2 where they kind of just got run over. compound on these leads, compound on these big first items that are coming across. You were looking for it. Gala now, maybe a bit more unleashed with that Essence Reaver available to him as TT looking for a play onto TheShy.
Oh,
when his immune gets around the Glacial Prison, even though the Gnar ultimate lands, steps around the CC from Meiko as well. TheShy now going to pop the Needlework, try and go back into the Pop Blossom, and just where we thought TheShy was looking for an outplay, he throws himself into 3, and the kill is found, but IG are going to look to capitalize on the back end of it. They're going to pick off the straggler, which is Hoya, who will happily sacrifice himself as the weakest member of TT.
I just wish he didn't go forward. He had literally the perfect scenario. He could just use his needlework, set up to take the wave. He takes a lot of the attention away from the rest of the map with ThunderTalk investing so many, and Rookie, the
same sin of his top laner, committed too far up in the wave, not knowing where TTR.
Oh no!
Under the turret. It's all turning disastrous for IG. TheShy gonna have to run out from under the turret. As a big chunk comes across from Gala. But these mistakes are starting to compound for IG. They gotta slow their horses.
They are just kind of continuing their role. They have 3 grubs, so they'll at least take this top lane tier 1. And so there's a lot of gold now focused across the board. Hoya and 1xN focusing the mid-tier 1. They wanted to race for that to try to at least take one of the feats of strength away from IG. But that'll give them the entirety of the feats, including their boots now. SeTab teleports into the bottom lane wave. I actually think that despite all of that, IG invested so much. They used both of their teleports there, and now we're going to be seeing IG take over this Rift Herald. With 3 grubs, you have to imagine that they can potentially blow open this game.
The win for ThunderTalk, though, with gobbling up a lot of those kills, is hopefully they can start getting to some of those item points that you want to see them compete at. The Luden's pretty expensive item, along with the Sorks, is done for SeTab, so he's a serious burst threat, and as much gold you can get funneled into 1xN, who does, you know, get those free waves mid lane, takes that mid-tier 1 turret. Talked about this champion being a huge 2-item power spike champion, and while he's still far away from the Mana Immune, at least with the tier by the time he gets there, it will form into that more mana that really lets 1xN's damage start to sink.
So Trinity is done for 2 members here of ThunderTalk. We've seen SeTab sit on this Luden's Echo for a pretty long while. I think the biggest spike now for IG is going to be the fact that the Seraphs is completed for Rookie, so he is going to be a little bit more difficult to kill. As you see posturing around this dragon, it's going to be 4 members of IG around the top side of this river. And then, I mean, Rookie has a fantastic flank if he ever wants to put down a pretty massive wall. And I'm kind of looking at ThunderTalk and specifically this bottom lane.
Okay. Gets spotted on that ward. Chain gonna land. Glacial Prison gonna come across. Shot Barrage does not hit its mark, though, and that's just gonna make it a little tough for the burst to come across. That is 2 big ultimates committed just to try and kill off Rookie. He survives, and now it's allowing IG to take control of the river here. TT really have no avenue to fight. They're gonna try and pick off TheShy on the top side, but they sacrifice their jungler. TheShy buys a lot of time, but makes it a trade. Big win here for IG, though, as the dragon is theirs, and there's nothing TT can do about it.
I think that overforce onto Rookie may have just cost ThunderTalk the game. They get the second dragon going over to IG. You still have the Herald with 3 grubs, and that was kind of your window to look for something. They don't find that pick. They don't even get Rookie's Seraphs. So he is still going to have access to more shielding, a little bit more HP. I'm worried here for ThunderTalk. This game had been going so well for them. There was unique openings thanks to SeTab and what Feather has been able to do, but now we're in a spot where maybe we get another turret here with Hoya pushing on bottom lane wave, but SeTab has only kind of kept this gold at 1,000, and you just gave over an Infernal Drake to IG, potentially giving them more, especially with them still having the Herald in their back pocket.
Hoya does get that tier 1 turret down, so the gold stays pretty close. The timers to act on, with Opticon coming from about 1:30. I want to see where TT's priorities really lie, because the side lanes are an interesting spot, right? You're still waiting for SeTab to get the second item, make him a burst threat into the Talia, but Rookie has been really hard to knock down. He's been playing the side lanes a lot more comfortably, and the Gwen Gnar matchup, it never gets brighter. Never gets brighter.
All right, so Good spot here for Invictus Gaming. You're going to be getting closer to your second items for Rookie. You have 2 items here for Gala, and he has the RFC, so when we talk about being able to play up on mid waves, this is kind of the position that we want to see them in. The only issue is that they don't have a mid-tier one anymore. Gala, no!
Oh, Meiko walked around the one brush and he didn't check. Nearly gets Gala killed. He burns Cleanse and Flash to get the safety out of that Glacial Prison. 2 teleports come across. TheShy immediately gets snared out of his as Hoya joins the fray. But that is a low-range Lucian with 2 items that is now very, very vulnerable for the next 5 minutes.
And maybe they just go for the Baron now. You know that TheShy had to teleport in. I think you might have to just look for an Otacon in 15 seconds. Look for a rush here. 1xN is recalling, so he won't be in the area, but that's a completed Muramana now. I thought maybe they would try to look for an engage. You had Feather with the ultimate. They decide not to go for it. It's both of the summoner spells from Gala. We'll see what else ThunderTalk can get around the map.
Oh, yeah. Has to be careful not to overstay himself. He's got a ward to cover him that spots Jiejie. And he knows he's on the strong side with the Otacon, giving more time to 1xN to farm up these mid waves. And off the reset, we'll see if TT feel confident challenging for the Otacon. Glacial Prisons at level 2. So we'll be up pretty soon here. And like we mentioned, Gala's summoners are going to be down for a while. So TT, with that info, are going to play with confidence on a ward and start up the Otacon. A series-defining fight is soon to come our way, but it's Rookie once again leaving his mark on this polished Talia. Xiaohongren takes half his HP, and just like that, the Otacon play is shut down.
Okay, Hoya has ultimate. He's in Mega Gnar. This Rift Herald is just walking by. SeTab, can he get into the back line?
SeTab looking for a jump in angle, and he catches Rookie on the middle of his wall. He immediately has to hop off it. Xiaohongren is sectioned off. There goes in Hoya. Gets the one-man stun. It's only on to Jiejie, though. And IG grab the Otacon, and they're playing through the culling. SeTab gets caught by Jiejie once again. Throwing him into the wall. Pop blossom onto 2 from Feather. True Shot Barrage comes across Xiaohongren. He wants Gala, but he's not gonna get him. IG blow up the fight. GT's damage falls just a bit too flat. They can't commit to any of these kills.
And that's going to be another turret falling. The fact that Jiejie was able to grab that Otacon, such close margins, but ThunderTalk, they fall at the very last moment. Even parts of that fight looking good. Feather finding so many people there. SeTab teleported back in.
He's spotted.
This could be a ton of shutdowns going over.
He's immediately spotted. He walks through a control ward. Dashes in place, so he's a distort to go back. Blows Jiejie up. 1 down. TheShy looking for the slow from the Nami passive. SeTab waiting on cooldowns, but he's walking right into Rookie's waiting arms. And no trickery from the LeBlanc can get SeTab out of that spot. Only gets the kill onto Jiejie, a shutdown at the very least.
Ah, man, he recalled, teleported back, lost his flash. Now he's down for another 30 seconds. This is tough. I mean, the Sejuani ult missing is already bad enough. You see that SeTab is trying to apply damage. I think he should have just stayed there. You should be trying to draw as much attention as this LeBlanc, and Hoya lands multiple members, but 1xN and Feather, specifically this Ezreal, cannot deal damage. He has to wait for his spells, wait for that damage to slowly trickle in. I feel bad for Feather, man. He lands such an amazing ultimate, and there's such good damage coming in, but it feels like desperation at the very last moment here from ThunderTalk. And now Dragon is spawned, you're missing summoner spells, and you have no way of being able to step into this pit as ThunderTalk.
Well, they're going to try and just command control, but they're losing grasp on other parts around this dragon. Midwave is down. Jiejie already has won a 50-50 once against Xiaohongren. TheShy jumping in first, though. He didn't see SeTab. There's the Glacial Prison stuck in a lane. 1xN gets the dragon. Down goes the Gwen. So for the time being, TT find themselves in a 5v4. But they don't have mid lane priority, and IG are not going to relent and give that away. Still, though, a bit of magic there for TT. There's no business getting that dragon. They have no business picking off TheShy. IG are gifting them windows.
It's certainly slowing down the game. You're kind of seeing that now. SeTab sitting in a side lane. Who is going to match him? Has 2 items. We're still waiting for Rookie to finish his second item. He's getting a Leandri, so he's going to do a little bit more damage to someone like Xiaohongren. But in terms of burst, not going to be quite all there. All of the gold for Invictus is surrounding this bottom lane. Gala, despite missing out on the early game from this Lucian Nami, has picked up so many kills, now has an infinity edge. He is going to do a hell of a lot of damage in these fights, and kind of needs to be the front and foremost of the DPS, as there has been so many doubts in a league that is dominated by amazing AD carries. I mean, you look, Hope and Pays particularly are doing amazing work right now, and you have to look at Gala and Meiko. These two were supposed to be the 1-2 punch of this team to kind of bring them over the edge and be a legendary duo, but they have been anything but that so far in 2025.
Luckily for Gala, that catch where he loses both summoners doesn't end up costing him, which is huge. He's got Cleanse and Flash back available to try and buy as much space as he can to maximize, as you called out so well, Ulk, the 3-item Lucian that is full damage. A rapid fire cannon, the IE is done. Everybody gets these hands from Gala outside of Xiaoheng Ren, who I'm still a little bit skeptical how much that health bar will truly hold up.
So for ThunderTalk, it's all about where can they find camps, where can they get themselves gold, maybe finish an item here or there, because while you've had 2-item spikes for your AD carry and mid lane, your front line isn't that robust right now. Xiaoheng Ren closer to getting a second item, but he's split between a Bramble's Vest and a Warden's Mail. Hoya as well looks to be getting like Tunneler, Pickaxe, Negatron Cloak, Ruby Crystal.
Wits, one thing, like I think Wits End somewhere.
It's the fakest Wits End of all time, because Wits End has a bunch of bows in it.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just trying to.
Tunneler, Pickaxe, and Ruby Crystal tells me maybe it's Sterix.
Yeah.
Huni wants his Gnar back.
Hey, again, Hoya. None of this matters if you hit the Gnar Ultimate of a Century, right? Like, build criticize, early get it criticized. Doesn't matter. Hit the Gnar ult.
Right. We've got Baron on the cards here. Ooh, a very, very sly fish from Rookie to almost find SeTab. But on a side lane, I'm kind of looking for who on ThunderTalk is really going to be able to answer these waves right now. They're trying to make a pick. Gala separated again.
Oh, Gala again. The heal
Doesn't
comes
get
out
much.
from Meiko. Luckily, SeTab doesn't connect the chain, but TheShy teleported in, so your side lane worries. You got a cure for it right now, and it's that Hoya gets all the time in the world to press this bottom lane into that tier 2 turret.
Okay. Rookie's going to recall. He'll be the one to match right now, so they're going to trade spots. Rookie and TheShy. TheShy going to be playing up with his team. Meiko has to be very careful. And honestly, Gala needs to know if he is separated from his support, there's a very good likelihood that we see ThunderTalk try to make an engage. So every bit that we see this duo separated is a chance for ThunderTalk to find a pick. We've come to a state now where almost every summoner spell is up. It is only IG with a slight disadvantage. No teleport, no heal from TheShy and Meiko respectively. ThunderTalk will find a slight reprieve in this game where they finally get mid-priority. And we've got a dragon spawning in 45 seconds.
Good call on the build, though, from the Gnar ult. Going to point that one out for you. That is the Sterix. So the components coming together a bit there as Gala drops the culling. And, hey, there's a equalized summoner spot there as both heals come off the board. That's how much pressure the culling dictates.
Okay. They have such good control.
10 seconds.
I'm looking at Rookie, and look at the rest of IG right now. They're playing in this pocket around the blue side jungle. Gala jumps forward. Almost goes down. He's both summoner spells after SeTab finds 90% of his HP.
Oh, that blast cone. Hero 2. Trishot Barrage found that kill. So once again, IG have to try and navigate around their comp with Gala out as summoners. But it looks like the Baron wasn't started for TT on the backside. They give that Dragon. They just couldn't confidently go for it, knowing how quickly IG burned through that Drake. So they're at Infernal Soul Point. ThunderTalk don't get a lot for giving up that Dragon besides Gala's summoners. No tier 2 turret granted by Hoya. And they find themselves back in those same battle lines from a couple minutes ago.
Hoya was able to grab at least one turret, though. So I think you're not
Yep.
all that mad, right? It was just a top lane tier 1. But you're right. Not a ton of split pushing going on. IG were the team that were able to get 3 grubs, but aside from those early turrets they've opened up, this game has stalled out, right? Yes, it is IG finding minor leads. It is ThunderTalk having a lot of almost moments where they're just barely not able to find that pick onto Gala or whoever they're focusing at the moment. But they are starting to get gold, which I think is very, very good for this team right now. And particularly Hoya has been splitting on the side lanes. He's been getting a lot more attention. 1xN has now finished his Spear of Shojin, so ThunderTalk are starting to reach that apex. I think the only way they get a little bit stronger is the death cap coming in from SeTab. You see already they've now gotten the flash away from Rookie as well.
Yeah, gets picked a little too far on those side lanes. How many times have we said that? Not just in this series, but today out of so many of these players. Death cap, good call out. SeTab, it would just give him enough juice where Gala's dead next time that combo comes across for him. And what a spot for SeTab, a player that we heralded as when he's on, TT feel like they have chances to win games. They play through him. He picks his LeBlanc that has a negative win rate, but he feels so comfortable on in a spot like this. And look at the more value he's starting to get. That's the Seekers out of Rookie, as SeTab is really starting to annoy this Talia.
And think about the trajectory of where these two players are. Rookie, a player that for years has missed out on internationals, and a lot of the community blaming it on his teammates not necessarily performing up to snuff where he has really done it. Whereas SeTab is a player who had a middling career, a mediocre one on DRX, playing in the LCK, and is trying to reinvent himself and hopefully bring some of his expertise over to ThunderTalk, maybe make a name for himself in this league, where Rookie already has one. Rookie's laning phase has not been that great, and now on this signature LeBlanc, hopefully can try to bring home a win.
And here's SeTab and Hoya, the solo lanes that we've looked for so much of through ThunderTalk's success, finding the kill onto TheShy, the culling flashed away from by Hoya, but here comes Rookie with the Weaver's Wall, gets the seismic shove. Hoya is caught, so both top laners will valiantly trade their lives.
And that's a lot of time and investment there from IG. That's the Weaver's Wall, the culling, so a bit of their damage missing. They're able to push in another mid-wave. I feel like ThunderTalk are starting to nickel and dime IG for small mistakes, saying, you've overstayed for a wave here. SeTab even trying to set up a death brush on the side lane.
Oh, Rookie.
And so it is these small mistakes that IG are going to get continues to punish. SeTab had a little bit more patience, but he doesn't know, right? There's no vision on the Rookie there.
Yeah. Just stings. Seconds making the difference. We saw in Series 1 how much 10 seconds meant to WE and JDG. It's always fun to find moments where mere seconds of our days could have the biggest impact. But impact nonetheless gained with SeTab gets to that Rabadon. So now this 3-item LeBlanc, anybody can get popped outside of Jiejie. Maybe even Jiejie. Well, he's got a Koenig. Oh, not again.
Rookie!
SeTab gets the double chain. Sees, though, the 3 members IG nearby, and they're now going to commit the chase onto LeBlanc, who doesn't have the dash up to get over the wall. And just like that, SeTab's pick plays turn right back into his face.
I can't believe we are in a situation where we're talking about how close a Game 3 between IG and ThunderTalk is with where they are in the standings, the expectations placed on both of these rosters, and SeTab gets caught out again, starting the Baron here for Invictus. It's 30 seconds before he's up, and ThunderTalk need to make the steal, the team fight of a lifetime.
There's Glacial Prison down for nothing. Xiaoheng Ren, can you get this 50-50 keeper's verdict? Is not going to hit him away from the pit. In he goes. He steals it! Xiaoheng Ren stalls more time for TT, giving 4 members a purple banner.
And they need to fight in 15 seconds. There is no time to stall, to catch your breath. There's an Infernal Soul spawning. IG say, look, we may have lost that one, but guess what? We know that we'll be in position for this next objective. SeTab has respawned. The rest of ThunderTalk are coming. There is a wall coming out. Can they make it, though? Already half HP.
Can Xiaoheng Ren do it again? He can't get to the pit. That's a clutch bubble for Meiko. Infernal Soul unleashes hell onto ThunderTalk. There's the pop blossom onto TheShy. Does get stunned up. Trades his life as the jungler for TT falls. But Gala flashes forward and just eviscerates 1xN's health bar. There is the Lucian shining true. A triple kill for Gala. And SeTab and Feather have no way to rescue it.
Okay, but this Baron is going to stall for time here. They might lose their mid-tier 2. There's a very few minions here. I mean, even with the next mini wave that's coming on through, that'll still be baroned up here by Feather.
But Jiejie!
Unless he dies.
He throws Feather into his own turret. It says, sayonara. It's now only SeTab left with Baron to try to hold the line. Xiaohe Red up in 15 seconds. But I think IG want this game and series overall. They're going to go for it all.
Infernal Soul. They've even got the grubs. Gala dashes forward.
Oh, there goes
and
that's down SeTab. It was a grind for IG to get here, but while the series was murky, a win's a win. TT fall in 3 to IG.
Wow. You gotta admit, IG make you sweat, man. They're willing to make anybody work for these wins. And while it was a tough series, one that was back and forth, even against the last place team here in the LPL, Invictus Gaming, they provide nothing but entertainment here, at the very least, when it comes to the LPL.
Ooh, that sentiment will always ring true, Dimitri. IG are entertainers at heart.
Yes.
You can see the looks on their faces, even after that awesome Game 3 that went the distance, and we had to go the distance of the series. They are relieved that they won that series and maybe a little bit mad that it even came to this point.
Can we remind ourselves that this is the same series where TheShy gets his first ever pentakill? Like,
yeah, it feels like an afterthought.
You would not believe that we were potentially on the verge of ThunderTalk taking 2 games in a row in the back end of this series. So, I mean, it sucks for them. Just so many moments taken away from them. SeTab, this LeBlanc, there were moments, right? Like the laning phase looks good. He gets the first kill of the game too. We were kind of excited, but we thought from draft this was already a very tough game to play LeBlanc, and there were some missed combos. There were some missed opportunities to not blow up an unsuspecting target in Gala. Maybe if it's a different champion, maybe if it's just a different game, that ends up going their way. There was plenty of opportunities given to them by IG to actually take control of this one, but ThunderTalk now moved to 2-10, and they're what, 7-21 and 22 in game score now. That almost surely secures them 10th place here.
7-21's also SeTab's LeBlanc wins versus games played, unfortunately.
Damn.
That is. Oh, it stings as we get a look at the group standings once more to round out our day. And IG keep themselves in the hunt with the Weibos and the BLGs soaring up the standings. But TT at the bottom, it stings to look at. First 2 double-digit series losses.
Minus 15. God, like, the only reason why, like, I'm making such a big deal is because that win column right there for differential, so like your plus or minuses, is the make or break in tiebreakers. And it has precedence over head-to-head. So even if ThunderTalk go 2-0 versus Ninjas in Pajamas, if they have a worse game differential, they will just lose and be 10th. So, I mean, it sucks, right? Like, we keep looking for IG or for ThunderTalk. When are the moments that we're going to really kind of see them? If they lose the rest of their games, it doesn't get any easier. They're playing against FPX. They're playing against Weibo later this week. This is a hell week for them. They play 4 series, and that could potentially snowball them even further than what we've seen from them so far.
Let's go back through this game, though, and a lot of the highs and lows. And I know we talked about SeTab right there. Yeah, the point rings true. But it's not to be, discounted that there were very proactive TT plays, and they made IG sweat, the whole series, but this game 3 was no exception.
Yeah. I'm glad that IG could kind of still find it. I'm a little worried that this is kind of the IG that we're going to continue to get, as, we didn't see the Lucianami actually provide much in terms of the laning phase, but then once we got to 3 items, it was kind of there. I still on the fence as to whether or not that was an amazing performance coming out of Gala, but it just feels like all around a very weird game from Invictus, right? Like, Rookie getting caught out multiple times, TheShy having I feel like this should have been like a premier
It should have been a huge Gwen game. A huge Gwen game.
And he's kind of like getting soloed by Hoya.
Yeah.
Like he ends up getting like a lot of assistance thrown at him, but this is the IG that you've signed up for if you're a fan for 2025. The highs, the lows, everything in between. And with this win, at least they'll be able to move up to 6 and 7. So hopefully to be able to be a little bit more competitive with some of those other teams. But them losing to Weibo, I think, is going to hurt. I think the most important match for IG in the next coming weeks is actually the very next one that they have. You're going up against Team WE. You need to slam that game because that's another team that's very close to you in the standings right now. Actually, right underneath you now.
An even game score, right? As you keep pointing out, that like it's a huge tiebreaker. Like IG need to get that one up because if I'm not mistaken, are they even or just +1 now? Alk after this series?
So Invictus are -3, Team WE are -2 in differential. Okay. They're 6 and 7 for IG, 5 and 7 for WE, and then game score is 16-19, 14-16. So a 2-0 from WE fixes their game score or their game differential, as well as puts them at least same in terms of how many wins they have, and kind of equals up some of those tallies between the two.
And also would throw another -2 IG's way, which is huge.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be a big match. We're getting close to it though, Alk. Tough question I'm gonna ask you in a really just hectic game. Where do you feel like an MVP is warranted here for IG?
The audience. No one else. All 10 of those players deserve. Never mind. The audience came out the big winners in this series, but probably it's gonna have to be Jiejie. Like I think a very nice way that Cubby put it in the first game of your JDG WE series was that Shun made the least amount of mistakes.
Yeah.
I feel like that was true of Jiejie this game. He played Poppy. Yeah. There's not much work for him to be done. Some of his lanes are doing things.
That's an apt description. The real winner here today is Twitch and YouTube ads for a 6-game set here. So shout out the ad revenue. Hey, there's the MVP. Hey, give it to Gala, who the stat line backs it up. Okay.
He basically had to carry this game, because that's what your Lucian Nami is built to do. You have a Talia. It was all about the pick, and we eventually saw that end up coming true. Just some of the positioning from Gala was a little bit worrisome for me, and I think that last fight maybe carrying a little bit more weight for him. So, good job from IG again. A win is a win, like you said. It's a 2-1, all things considered, but they will move up to 6 and 7, and hopefully this is a bounce back and a wake-up call for Invictus Gaming.
We will have to see, but looking forward to tomorrow. A lot of both the teams that we saw kind of in the pack with IG trying to lock up the last 2 playoff spots have some big matches to play themselves. First, though, it'll be Weibo looking to get themselves an attempt at another convincing win over as they take on NIP, and then it will be AL versus BLG. Alk, mostly going to ask you about the latter. What's your take going into AL BLG, knowing that Billy with Beichuan have looked a lot more polished?
They have looked good, but I think AL have been just looking a lot cleaner. I think mostly I have a reinvigorated passion for Anyone's Legend. I was so afraid that they were just going to lose again to TES, and TES were going to look like the best team in the region, but they had an incredibly dominant 2-0 over them, and are hopefully on track with Tabe there to just be the team to beat. I need to see this team perform, and so I think a dominant showing up against a BLG who are looking mortal and very, very not as solid, I think, as what we would kind of describe them, especially coming into the year. I think that that's going to be a series that we're looking very intently at.
Well, the amazing Grapes and Blockster will be back tomorrow to take you through the 2 series you mentioned. We are going to get out of here after a 6-game set, but before we leave, I have one final shout-out I have to give, and that is to our Elite Coffee supporters. Thank you very much to all of you out there, the 3 we're going to name here: Aaron Soup, Mong and Forrest without. Their pledged financial contributions help level up the broadcast and give back to the cast and crew who strive to give you an English LPL product every day. So big shout out to our elite coffee supporters. Like we mentioned earlier, all coffee support, you can find the link in chat, but a huge shout out to just everyone as well that helps support this fan-run project, all the way down to your Twitch chatters, your follows, your YouTube subscribers, everything. It is so integral to keeping this train running here.
Yep. Again, this show does not happen without fans in general. Even if you didn't support us monetarily, just being there and watching the streams is the only thing that kind of makes this kind of show run. So thank you to everybody who helped us, and obviously to production, not only here, but also at the LPL for giving us a stream. Now,
as you can see, we're sunsetting our day here, but as the two NA boys, unfortunately for our reality, you see that sunrise behind Og? That means it's bedtime for myself and Dimitri. So from everybody here, big shout out to Kelsey Moser producing behind the scenes, throwing up some awesome lower thirds for us. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back tomorrow for more LPL action. Take care until then.